ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. नमा ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंदा. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Mataji, can you see the screen?
Yes,
Anyways, we are
Mataji.
just
Yes.
gonna hear, so that's totally fine.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start reading. So last time we were discussing how these great Vaishnavas like Parikshit Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, how they are very, very concerned about the situation of conditioned living entities who are completely engrossed in material activities. And Parikshit Maharaj has been asking Srila Shukadeva Goswami, like in fifth canto, Shukadeva Goswami spoke about various kinds of hells, hellish planets. So, like all of them are very, very ghastly and horrifying and very terrible for a soul to go through. So, obviously, Parikshit Maharaj is a very, very great Vaishnava, and he is not only interested in his own welfare, but he wants the welfare of all the living entities. So now he's asking a question that you spoke about all the hells. Now my question is how the living entities can be saved from going to such hellish conditions, because this is a very subtle point that every moment we should serve Krishna through our thoughts, through our body, through our words. But people don't understand this, and it requires a lot of mercy and spiritual piety also, not karmic piety but spiritual piety, where they have, chanted some holy name in past birth, or served some Vaishnava by any chance, given some Vaishnava some food, just unknowingly. So such kind of piety helps to understand the philosophical points very quickly. But although the points are really simple, but people invest a lot of life in devotional service, but they still remain untouched by that, those subtleties of bhakti. So therefore now Parikshit Maharaj is very, very concerned, like how should we make these people understand that what misery they are suffering and how to get out of it, because people don't even know that they are suffering. They think that it is just a part of life and we have to just live like that. There is no solution to this problem. Like, I was looking into one like ISKCON bhajan, and suddenly some ad started coming up in YouTube, and the ad was about uh, a person's own funeral. And how to just start paying $1 per month from particular age, so you will have sufficient amount to have your own funeral when you die. So the funeral bill is like $11,000 or something, and the lady was getting really surprised. How will I pay? How will I pay? So that kind of advertisement was there. So I was thinking that wow, for them, they are so practical people, but this is not just practicality. This is ignorance also. that although this is one thing that okay, they are preparing and they are practical about it, but they are not asking this question that why we have to go through this suffering of death or separation from our near ones, or miseries and pain of the diseases. So this is all the background what we have been learning so far. Even Prahlad Maharaj says to Lord Narsimhadev that I don't want to go alone, I want to take everybody with me to your abode. That's what he's praying. So now we will read on. Parikshit Maharaj says, it is not that if I say there is no God, that there will be no God, or that I will not be responsible for what I do. The atheists deny God due to their sinful activities. If they thought that there were a God, they would shudder at the thought of punishment. Somehow I'm not able to scroll this. 1 second, I'll reshare. Yeah. Therefore, they deny his existence, right? So if people will believe in a God, then they will get very scared of the punishment, because God is almighty, so he can punish any way he wants. Although he doesn't do that, he punishes according to the activities somebody has performed. So but they get very horrified when rabbits are attacked by larger animals. They close their eyes and think, I'm not going to be killed, but they are killed anyway, right? So such people don't believe in God because they are very scared of punishment. Therefore they say that we don't the God doesn't exist, means like just closing their eyes toward God. But it is a very great existential reality that God exists, right? Even if they will shut their eyes like a rabbit, that I will not be killed. And even we have seen that when somebody attacks, or we have something falling on us or something, then we just close our eyes and just try to stop with our hands like that, but the thing falls ultimately. So in the same way, we may deny the existence of God and his laws, but still God and his laws are there. In the High Court, one may say, I don't care for the law of government, but he will be forced to accept the government law. If one denies the state law, he will be put into prison and duly punished. Similarly, one may foolishly decry the existence of God by various means, saying that there is no God, or many people say that I am God. But ultimately, one is responsible for all his actions, both good and bad. So we saw the example of a dog carried by his owner. If dog is barking toward the neighbor, then owner is responsible, not the dog. So similarly, for any kind of foolish acts or desires, the soul is responsible, or we are ourselves are responsible. According to the law of karma, or the law governing activities, if we act properly and perform pious activities, we are awarded by good fortune. And if we act sinfully, we have to suffer. So this is straight, like principle of karma. Therefore, Shukadev Goswami said, तस्मात् पुरैवाश्व इह पापा निष्कृतौ यतेता मृत्योर अविपद्यतात्मना दोषया दृष्ट्वा गुरुलाघवं यथा भीषक चिकित्सेता रुजं निदानवेत्. You should know that you are responsible, and according to the gravity of your sins, you should accept some type of atonement as described in Shastras or scriptures. So this verse comes in Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 1st chapter, 8th verse. Just as doctors are sought when one is deceased, according to the Vedic way of life, there is a class of Brahmanas to whom one should go for prescribed atonement for sinful activities. Like in churches also, we hear many times that they go for confession, right? So similar point is here. But in our Vedic system, there are some atonements prescribed. It's not just confession, but you have to do certain activities to remove those sinful reactions. like do some yagna or do some worship. Even now, the astrologers keep telling, do this every Purnima, you give a chapati to some Brahmana or something of that kind. So there are different types of atonement. If a person commits a sin and counteracts it by penance, that is atonement. Like somebody commits a sin and then he is repenting on that, but he keeps a fasting for 2 days or something, he doesn't eat food, then he's offering an atonement, even though he doesn't know if it is like written in scriptures or not, but he from his heart he's offering it. There are examples of this in Christian Bible. Shukdev says that one has to execute the prescribed atonement according to the gravity of his sinful activities. So atonement is proportionate to the sinful activity performed. A physician may prescribe an expensive medicine or a cheap medicine according to the gravity of disease, or the chemical constitution of the medicine may differ, right, according to the severity of disease. For a headache, he may simply prescribe an aspirin. But if there is some severe illness, he may prescribe a surgical operation, which will cost thousands of dollars. Similarly, sinful activities are diseases, so one should follow prescribed cures to become healthy. By accepting the chain of birth and death, the soul accepts a diseased condition. Right? So we talked about this. Like nobody questions about death. They think that this is part of life. But this is a diseased condition because soul never dies. But it goes through a lot of suffering when the body is dying, because the body has to die one point in time. It so much deteriorates that it cannot function anymore, right? Just like any machine or something, because body is material, but the soul is attached to the body, so it has to go through a lot of suffering to leave that body. Like if we have to leave some house, unless we are going into a big mansion, we will feel very bad to leave our house for some reason. The soul is not subject to birth, death, or disease because it is pure spirit. Like the soul is transcendental, so it is not subjected to all these things like a matter. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that soul has no birth, na jayate, and there is no death, mriyate. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nityah shashvato ayam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. For the soul, there is never birth or death, nor having once been, does he ever cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, undying, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So, one time, my very close relative left their body, and I was very shattered. But when I read Bhagavad Gita and I learned about that soul never dies, only body perishes. So, that was very, very hope giving to me, very, very faith giving that this relative is still existing somewhere, although the body doesn't exist. That was anyways matter, that was anyways supposed to vanish some point in time, but soul is there. So this is such a great philosophy. It is very, very hope giving. Modern civilization is in dire need of an educational system to give people instructions on what happens after death. In actuality, the present educational system is most defective because unless one knows what happens after death, one dies like an animal, right? So like we discussed some point in time that we will earn money, like material standards of success, earn money, get a good house, get a good car, um, have the latest brand, get a good phone. But what after that? And even this is not stopping anywhere. Like every year a new model of phone is coming. Every year Elon Musk is bringing new cars. Every few years modernization of houses is happening. So how far we are going to chase this race, right? And one point in time a person gets so tired, he gets diseased, and he just dies like an animal. Why Prabhupada is saying animal? because we talked about it that four things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These are common to animal and human. Only human beings have a more sophisticated methods of doing these four basic things. But only religion separates animal from humans. So if religion is not there, a human doesn't know what is his duty, what is his dharma, what is his purpose of human life, why he has been given more facilities than animals, why he is not constricted like animals. The animals cannot speak, they cannot express. If they have any pain, then they have to tolerate it, and just they just die like that. Many times we see that, some car suddenly what roadkill, some deer comes before the car on a highway, and they just die like that. So humans have a better purpose. They have a different purpose of life, because humans don't die like that in roadkill or anything. They have been given sophisticated facilities. For what reason? Because there is a purpose of Krishna in giving a human life to somebody, right? So humans need to understand that, and therefore Prabhupada is so much wanting to educate people, that they should understand what is their own reality, what happens after this life, all those things. So an animal does not know that he is subject to death, or that he is going to have to take another body. Human life, however, should be more elevated. One should not simply be interested in animalistic functions of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. A living entity may have an abundant supply of food for eating, or may many nice buildings for sleeping, or good arrangements for sex life, or a good defense to protect him, but this does not mean that he is a human being. A civilization which is based on these activities should be known to be animalistic. Like we hear about some these aborigines, they still live in forests, some of the species of human beings, and they live a very animalistic life, right? They just kill animals for their eating, and then they reproduce and just die, right? So but the people who are living in cities, they are making progress, but they are only making materialistic progress, which is also not going to take them very far. Like we see, like a common example, many very very big celebrities have committed suicide. They had so much fan following, so much so many people used to write to them, we love you, we love you, we love you, but what was missing in their life that they committed suicide? One example is coming to me is Whitney Houston. She was found dead in her bathtub. And what reason? I mean, she was a drug addict. She had become so much addicted to drugs. But why does a person start doing? Where does it start, first of all? Although they have so much fan following, they have no scarcity of money, they have all big brands, clothes and cars and footwear, what not they have been blessed with. But what is missing in their life, right? So this is the this is spiritual realization is missing, that who am I after all, who am I? So this is just such a question which one person is wanting to know, but they don't know that they are in want of this. Okay, but Prabhupada is bringing those teachings to us, so we are very fortunate to read this. Since animals are also interested in these functions, what is the difference between human life and animal life if human being does not go beyond them? The distinction can be made when a human being becomes inquisitive and asks, why have I been put into this miserable condition? Is there any remedy for it? Is there perpetual eternal life? I do not want to die, nor do I want to suffer. I want to live very happily and peacefully. Is there a chance for this? What is the method or science by which this can be achieved? So all these questions we as human beings should be asking. When these questions are asked and steps are taken to answer them, our human civilization is the result. If the questions never arise, then that civilization should be known as animalistic. So Prabhupada in one sense is saying, if people are not asking these questions, then they are not even humans. They are still living on animalistic platform, right? So that's why he wants to pull everybody from their dungeons, and he wants to elevate them. Animals and animalistic human beings are simply interested in continuing the process of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But in actuality, this process is forced to break down because material laws are like that. This will end somewhere, definitely. The fact is that there is no real defense because no one can protect himself from the hands of cruel death, right? We can defend ourselves in argument or something, but who will defend us from the death? For instance, Hiranyakashipu, who wanted to live forever, underwent severe austerities. What did he ask Brahmaji? He asked Brahmaji that nobody should be able to kill me in air or on the land, in the daytime or night time, not nor by any weapon. No human should kill me, no animal should kill me. And he thought that, okay, I have covered all the possibilities. But Narsimhadev came in half lion and half human form. So he was neither an animal, not a human. He killed him through his nails. So he didn't use any weapon. He killed him during the dawn time. So it was not neither day or not, nor night. And he killed him on the like brink of the door of his palace. So he was neither inside the house nor outside the house. That was also one condition of Hiranyakashipu. So anybody can be however smart he can be, but Krishna is smarter than him, right? So nobody can protect themselves from death. So-called scientists are now claiming that sometime in future we shall stop death by scientific methods. But this is simply another crazy utterance. Stopping death is not at all possible. We may make great advancements in scientific knowledge, but there is no scientific solution to the fourfold miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. One who is intelligent, so whoever believes the scientists, they are actually believing in a very, very wobbly building which can shatter down any time. So this is not a very good arrangement. So one should always rely on words of scriptures. One who is intelligent should be eager to solve these four principal problems: birth, death, old age, and disease. No one wants to die, but there is no remedy. Everyone has to die. Everyone is very anxious to stop the skyrocketing increase of population by employing contraceptive methods, but still birth is going on. There is no stoppage of death, and there is no stoppage of birth. Nor can diseases be stopped, nor can old age, despite all of the latest inventions in medicine. One might think that he has solved all the problems of his life. But where is the solution to these four problems of birth, death, old age, and disease? That solution is Krishna consciousness. Every one of us is giving up his body at every moment. And at the last phase of giving up this body is called death. But Krishna also says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mameti so Arjuna. Bhagavad Gita 4.9. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So, he will not take birth again. So, if birth will not be there, there will not be disease, there will not be old age, and there will not be death. So, all the problems are solved here, right here. And only what do we need to do? We need to know the transcendental nature of Krishna, his appearance and activities. That's the thing. So Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is very simple. People make it complicated because they have some background problems and they bring all those problems into Krishna consciousness and they make it very, very complex. although its application is very simple, that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He has a transcendental nature. He has a divine birth and activities. Or whatever activities he does, like lifting Govardhan Hill, who can do this, right? Only God can do it. On that too, on a pinky finger. There was a reason why Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill on pinky finger. He wanted to show that it's so easy for me, right? So we need to know and follow Krishna consciousness by chanting Krishna's holy name every day. So we are actually associating with Krishna because there is no difference between Krishna's name and Krishna's form. There is no difference. Krishna is transcendental through all the aspects. He is present in his name. He is his name actually. So what happens to such a person? Mameti, he returns to Krishna. Mam means Krishna is saying he comes to me. Mam eyeti. Yeti means he comes. He returns to Krishna. If we are to go to Krishna, we must prepare a spiritual body, right? So if somebody enters into the fire, he will have a lot of pain, right? But if something enters into the fire which has like fiery kind of body, then they will just merge into the fire without any problems. So if we want to go to Krishna, not merging, but if we want to go to Krishna and serve him, then we need a spiritual body, how Krishna has, right? So that much purity we require. That preparation is the process of Krishna consciousness, right? So how we get a spiritual body? By following the process of Krishna consciousness intently, very very focused way. If one keeps himself in Krishna consciousness, he gradually prepares his next body, a spiritual body, which will carry him immediately to Krishna Lok, Krishna's abode, and he will become happy, living there perpetually and blissfully. Hari Bol. Such a beautiful thing. So, chapter 3, we will start
Hari
next
Bol.
time when
Sure,
Mataji
Mataji.
will also be there. So, you want to share anything, Mataji?
Oh, I mean, it's like just that sometimes people think they're so smart and try to find solution to
Hmm.
problems
Yeah.
instead of like accepting the reality and then focusing, right? Like you can, instead of finding how to live longer, you can find ways to live purposefully,
Mm.
consciously. So even if it's small time, you're doing something better for yourself, for others, and for your soul, instead of trying to say, I'll just live longer because it's just that number, instead of what you're doing in that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. Yes.
Mhm.
Definitely, we should do good things for others as well as for us. But at the
Yeah.
same time, we should keep Krishna in the center.
Center, yes.
Yes. Because
Yeah,
everybody, yeah, for whom we are doing, they are also parts and parcels of Krishna,
of
like us.
Krishna. Yeah,
Yeah.
like tending to the soul, which makes the
Mm.
soul happy and Krishna happy, instead of just
Mm.
trying to
Just the
see
body.
so to the others and
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah,
know,
yes. Yeah, our services should be for the soul. So,
so,
yeah,
yeah.
like Prabhupada says that if you will give ordinary food to somebody, then they will have their hunger will be pacified for just one day. But if
Mm,
you will give Krishna to them, if you will give Krishna consciousness to them through prasadam, through chanting of
mm,
the holy name, then they will start seeing Krishna in every aspect of life. And then, as you said, like acceptance, so
yeah.
they will be able to easily accept their circumstances, having faith in Krishna, that Krishna is with me. And
Yeah.
that way they will gain more strength to navigate through those circumstances also. So Krishna
Yes,
consciousness is
that's
very
true.
blissful.
So Mataji.
And we are very fortunate. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Mataji,
Thank
for
you so much,
joining.
Mataji.
We'll stop
Thank you
here.
for,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare
See you
Krishna.
next Wednesday. Hare
See
Krishna.
you next Wednesday. Hare Krishna.
Hare